friend Roger Christopherson here again with another first listen review, and we're about to be babbling about some Black Crowes today. But before we do that, if you're into like just chit-chatting and babbling about music, because that's what we do here, talk about bands that we love, new stuff that's coming out. Maybe sometimes we talk about old stuff. Sometimes I just bring in old albums that I think people should know more about, and we need to talk about them. So that's what we do here, and we tell stories and we do all that kind of cool stuff. So if that's your thing, like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive. And if it's not your type of thing, appreciate you checking it out. But yeah, it is what it is. That's what we do. And today we were talking about Black Crowes, which I already mentioned, and their album Amorica, which is their deluxe edition, came out today. 3 CD deluxe edition. They added a Blu-ray in there too. But to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the album Amorica, which I remember when this came out, I was actually really enjoyed. I've always liked the Black Crowes since the very first time I heard Jealous Again was the first song I ever heard. I don't remember if that was the first single or not, but I do remember that was the first song I ever heard from these guys, and just really enjoyed their sound. They have that, to me, they always reminded me of like a harder rock version of the Faces with a little bit more attitude and a little bit more southern feel to it. And I know Chris Robinson got compared to like Rod Stewart a lot back in the early day. He had that really soulful, gritty sound to his voice, which I really like. So, and you know, Rich, his brother, they just complimented each other so well, and they had that thing where they fought all the time like brothers do, and that was always in the news, but made great music. And this album kind of, like, for me, really highlights when they started like experimenting a little bit more. They did a little bit more on Southern harmony, a little bit, but this one was where they really started experimenting a lot. In fact, in here they have, I remember hearing about this like way back, and it's funny because I kind of completely forgotten about the fact that they had recorded an album. They didn't like it, and might be getting the story wrong, so feel free to correct me. Didn't like it, and then scrapped it and started all over again, and that's what kind of became Amorica. And included in here is the second CD, is what's called Tallest, which the album was supposed to be called Tall originally, and then they decided that they didn't like what they were doing and redid a bunch of stuff. Of course, a lot of that stuff did end up on Amorica as well, but that's included in here. And you know, I've been a fan of their stuff individually. They split up for a little bit. Chris went and did his you know, Chris Robinson Brotherhood. Rich did some stuff with some other people. I forget what the name of that one was. I can't remember the name of that band. I remember it had something to do with oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. Mockingbird something. Magpie Salute, that's what it was. Magpie Salute, where they did a lot of Black Crowes type stuff, and Rich's solo stuff, which unfortunately for me, not some of my favorite stuff of his. And a lot of these guys did. Mark Ford's got some cool stuff out there. He went and did some solo albums, which I really enjoyed. And so you can hear all the separate stuff throughout the years they did separately. And when you go back and listen to this, for me, when I listen to Amorica again, I can hear all the differences from those guys on their individual stuff and how it came together on this album. It was kind of, it was weird listening to this again and hearing all that, and just kind of going, oh yeah, I hear Chris in this part, oh, I can hear Rich in this part, and even Mark's, you know, playing just, you know, sticks out. So whatever, for me that's kind of the way it was. And then, you know, it's just kind of fun piecing things together in your head sometimes. But anyway, that's kind of the feel I had of it. And I know I always complain about remasters a lot, so the remastered version of this I wasn't too excited about. So I didn't listen. I did what I normally do, go with the B-side stuff first, which was the Tall album, or Tallest album. And I have to be honest, I understand why they like scrapped it and went, and that's not like meant to be a bust, but the album is like, if that was to be the album, if these songs were what was to be the album, I know some of the stuff has been released, you know, in other, you know, box sets and stuff here and there. But the majority of these songs are very slower, like slower to mid tempo. There's nothing really upbeat. Like this, the feeling I got listening to the whole thing, I was like, holy cow, let's get some energy. In fact, my favorite one on that whole CD, there's only 9 songs on that one, was Parasong, which is an instrumental, and that's where it kicked in. I was like, all right, that's cool. I would have loved hearing that being done or finished or whatever. But I can understand why they didn't keep that. Even though it was cool to listen to, I understand why they went back and redid it. It made me even appreciate Amorica even more. I actually have always liked this album. I found it very unique and interesting. And so I did go back and listen to the remaster, and the remaster is very good. Actually, I was very pleasantly surprised. I like the remaster. It's crisp. It's got the brightness. It didn't lose that. Sometimes when I hear remasters, it just sometimes sucks the life out of it instead of actually helping. And it didn't do that. Actually, I like the remasters, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And there are some few bonus songs added on the B-side, the Chevrolet, and then Song of the Flesh and Sunday Night Buttermilk were, and I don't know why they didn't put that on the tallest. I don't know. Whatever. It was a little weird, but maybe it was part of those sessions. I don't know. They just left them off of there. But anyway, it was nice to hear a few extra songs there. That actually, it was cool listening to this album again, because I honestly haven't listened to it in quite a while. I do remember the big deal about this was they had to redo the album cover, because for some reason the short curlies there, they didn't want them out in record stores for young eyes to see or whatever. So there's just, I remember the re-release, if I'm not mistaken, was just a black cover with the bikini flag thing. It was just a cover. My memory serves me correct. I'm probably going to have to look it up after this and see. I'm sure it'll be in one of the videos here and one of the pictures I put up. But if I remember correctly, they had to do that, and that was a big deal. You know, and when there's controversy, it sells albums. And I just remember that it might have been, it probably was done on purpose that they did that. So they helped sell some albums. Definitely made a lot of news. But for me, the highlight of this whole thing was the disc 3 here, the Mary Laveau sessions, and then the live stuff in London. Really, really enjoyed those songs. Every single song on that CD3 I really, really liked. Especially Exit and Inferiors. For whatever reason, those songs really shot and grabbed me. Those were really good. I don't know why they didn't end up using those. It's probably some of the best stuff I've heard them do on them. That's just my opinion on that one. On the Hell Night, it was an instrumental. That was interesting. I would love to hear where that one was going to go. Girl from the Pawn Shop and Bewildered, also cool songs. Not quite as strong as the first two, in my opinion. And then Nonfiction was a decent little acoustic thing. And then Thorn's Progress was actually cool, hearing different versions of different songs thrown together there. So I was wondering what was going on there at first, but I thought it was going to be a different song, and then it kind of changed gears, and I realized this is just like a work in progress, just like it's titled, Thorn's Progress. So that was kind of cool to listen to. I always like hearing how bands construct stuff, and that just kind of it's kind of like a little eye into or ear, I guess, into how they came up with some of their other songs. But anyway, that was cool. And then the last 4 songs are the live ones from London, where you get to hear some of the stuff from Amorica. And for me, these guys are a great live band. And even though they're great live in the studio, or great in the studio, the live stuff for me always feels a little bit more alive, just feels more energetic. And those, especially Conspiracy, actually, that's one of my favorite songs off Amorica, is that song. It's just a unique style and rhythm to it that you don't hear very much in other songs. I can't think of anything else that actually has that thing. They did it a little bit on Southern Harmony in one of the songs there, which of course I can't think of at this point in time, because that's just the way it goes for me. But then, of course, Wiser Time and Hi Hat Blues are great songs too. So it was cool to hear those live. Really enjoyed that. I don't know if there's more to that show that is out there somewhere. Probably is, but I wouldn't mind hearing that if there's more. But this is what they gave us, and I'm perfectly happy with what we ended up with. Really enjoyed that. It was fun revisiting this album again. It's always, one thing I do like about these box sets and reissues is sometimes it's for albums that didn't get a whole lot of attention, or it's just something we haven't pulled out in a long time, we haven't listened to, and and this gets us to do that. And I really enjoyed listening to it again, because it probably isn't something I might never ever pull this album out again. So it was nice to just bring back memories. It's weird how when you listen to music, it just kind of brings back memories, and I was thinking about that point in time in my life, and how when I was listening to the album, what was going on at that point in my life. So it was kind of just a really fun trip to be on, I guess. So anyway, on that note, until their next one, we'll see you.